Hey guys, I wanted to give you my initial impressions for the iPhone 6. I've had the device for around 3 hours now, so these really are initial impressions. They could of course change, so you'll have to bear with me on that one. But I wanted to start off with here the look and feel of the device and just how this feels in the hand. Now, the first thing I noticed when I took this out of the box was just how thin this device is, and it is noticeable as soon as you pick it up. And that is one of the major contributors to just how good this feels in the hand. It does feel very good. It's easy to hold. It doesn't feel like you're going to lose control or drop it like some phones that are just too damn big. It also has rounded sides, if you can see that there, rounded sides and also rounded corners, which again just kind of fit your palm and help to make it fit in there a lot easier. I haven't got the biggest hands in the world, actually they're pretty small to be completely honest with you, but this feels like a very nice phone to hold. As always with the Apple design and Apple builds, it feels very premium, nothing feels loose or anything like that. All the physical buttons on the device have a nice tactile feedback, none of them feel loose, they don't feel like they're going to break anytime soon. They're actually quite loud, and I'm just going to bring in my Nexus 5 here and put this next to the microphone. I don't even know if you'll be able to hear me pressing the power button here. If you can, that'll be very light, but the iPhone 6 is noticeably louder when pushing that power button, if you just listen. I think you'll be able to hear that. It's definitely a lot louder than my Nexus 5. It's not a bad thing, it's just something that kind of took me by surprise when I first pushed it, basically. In terms of its overall footprint, it's a 4.7-inch display, but it's actually about the same size as my 4.99-inch Nexus 5, and that's kind of interesting. It's actually, the iPhone 6 is actually taller than the Nexus 5, but it is a lot thinner and it also has rounded edges, which the Nexus 5 doesn't. If we put them together here, you can see there's not too much difference in them really. They're actually pretty similar in terms of footprint. You can just see the height difference. iPhone 6 is ever so slightly taller than the Nexus 5. It is though a lot thinner. I'm pretty sure you can definitely see the thickness of the Nexus 5. It's quite a thick phone really. And it's also quite a square phone in comparison to the rounded edges of the iPhone 6. And because of that, the iPhone 6, I feel, is actually easier to hold because of these kind of rounded edges and rounded corners. The iPhone 6 also isn't quite as wide as the Nexus 5, and again, that's going to make it feel that little bit more comfortable in the hand. Now, moving on to my initial impressions for the display, we're running a 4.7-inch Retina HD display. What that actually means is it has a PPI of 326 with a resolution that's about 750p, so a little above 720p, which is standard HD. It's not running as high a resolution as the iPhone 6 Plus, which is full 1080p at 401 ppi. The question is, will you notice the difference? Well, I haven't got the iPhone 6 Plus to actually test that, but I do have other 1080p devices. I'll start off with what I really like about this display, and that's the color accuracy. It's one of the best calibrated displays that I think I've come across. It's, you know, everything is vivid, but it's not oversaturated like you get on the Galaxy S devices with their AMOLED technology. You know, whites are white, they're not yellow, the blues really pop. It all looks very accurate, it all looks how it probably should look. And, you know, photos and YouTube videos, they all absolutely look excellent as well. Now, a lot of the questions have been, will you notice a difference between a 1080p display and a 750p display? Personally, I'm used to the Nexus 5, which has a 1080p display. I put those two devices together, I put these two devices together. You won't see it through the camera, so I'm not going to bother doing that right now. And in terms of the overall color, I would say that the iPhone 6 here had the better color reproduction, but the Nexus 5, it was a sharper image basically. I went on a lot of websites, I checked out some of the text, the fine text, and it was just that little bit sharper on my Nexus 5. So in my opinion, yes, you can notice the difference, but really you're only going to notice it if you put two devices side by side. If you're just enjoying your iPhone 6, you know, you're walking around with your iPhone 6, you're not going to suddenly say, oh my god, I can see a pixel. No, that's not how it's going to go down. It's a very nice display, it really is. Would I prefer it to be 1080p? Yes, I would, because then you could actually watch YouTube videos in 1080p. You know, they're uploaded in 1080p, so why not watch them in them? And it can, of course, use the back-facing camera to record in 1080p. So I would have preferred it, but it's still a very, very nice display. Those are my initial impressions. In terms of the software and the performance, well, it's running iOS 8, and if you weren't a fan of iOS before, you're not really going to be a fan of iOS now. It's just on a larger screen. Of course, iOS 8 has some enhancements over iOS 7, but it's very much the same thing. It just has enhancements on top of that, new features and things like that. In terms of the performance, though, this is a little bit interesting. So it's running the A8 chip, And that benchmarks better than the iPhone 5S, of course, but in terms of general performance through the UI and opening up applications, I honestly didn't see much of a difference between the iPhone 5S and the iPhone 6. They're both very fast, of course, they're both very smooth as you'd expect from iOS, but it wasn't like I picked up the iPhone 6 and went, damn, this is a hell of a lot quicker than the iPhone 5S. I didn't feel that. Now, I'm not sure if that's because, iOS has very deliberate slow animations. Maybe that kind of takes away from the power of the A8 chip. I'm not quite sure. Of course, that's just the general feeling in the UI. I haven't tested out gaming performance or anything like that. So yeah, there you go, guys. Those are my initial impressions for the iPhone 6. Of course, there's loads more videos coming. I'll be comparing them to my Galaxy S5, my HTC One M8, and my Nexus 5 and all that good stuff. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. Peace out.